Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So, a couple of pieces of news here, nothing huge, some merchandise news, a reminder about New York Comic Con, but we'll start here with this. Kind of completely missed this one as it was being revealed, but it was revealed more or less over the course of like the last week. First four figures who are doing their initial Aang figure, which I think should be released over the next couple of weeks, month or so. Their second figure is going to be Toph. So you can see here, pre-orders are going to go live on the 12th of October, so just a few days from now. Pricing will be revealed at the time, but expect it to be 130 or so, I guess. There's been a few more posts about it since then. There's what it actually looks like. There's like, of course, the different versions with fancier bases and stuff like that. That is the standard base for the Toph. I think it's a very nice pose. They definitely got the kind of standard Toph stuff right with this figure. Very cool stuff with the base, with the mountains on it. Stance is pretty perfect, whereas the Diamond Select one maybe doesn't have the pose that's that great, but otherwise it does look very good. This is more of a kind of classic standard pose here, and it's definitely very, very clean for what it is. It's just, is it doing enough for the price point? That's kind of part of the kind of point that I have here, where I'd love to have one of these figures in my collection, but financial wise it's not really in the cards right now. Again, I'd love to like do a video review of one of them, but I just can't justify the purchase at the moment. So yeah, they're saying the collector's edition, which I guess is the normal edition that you will order from First Four Figures, because there is a standard edition that will just be sold from other places. The collector's edition is going to come with different arms to do different poses. So you can see here, you've got the kind of closed fists, and then you've got more of the Toph fancy stuff with the fingers going on, which I think is actually very cool to do that kind of interchangeable thing, where like if you don't like those specific details, you can just swap out the arms. That's pretty nice. Again, I think this is just a video to explain the arms. Yeah, you can see there there's the kind of open hands there, and it's I think it's a good figure. It's definitely good. I do just the pricing for maybe what it is. There's the fists. There's the different ones. So yeah, there's it seems like they do have the hands at different angles. So the variety of poses is kind of pretty decent there. So yeah, interesting stuff. There's the details of how big it is and stuff like that. And then yeah, they did just recently reveal. Actually, is this? Yeah, yesterday actually, the base on the definitive edition, so the really fancy, the really expensive version that has a much bigger base. You can see here has much more of a pattern going on here on the base. You've got a lot of dust coming up, and then there's much more going on with the actual earth itself. So that is the definitive edition. That's going to be probably double the price of the normal version of it. But for Toph fans, it's actually very cool to see Toph actually get the second figure after Aang. Usually it's typically Zuko that comes second, but they're doing Toph first, which is quite interesting. But yeah, we'll see where they go from there. Next piece of news is that Azula has been confirmed for All-Star Brawl 2. So nothing too much to kind of really say here about like All-Star Brawl necessarily. It's not my style of game. I didn't get the first one, and it looks like there's an equivalent amount of Avatar content in this one, where there's Aang, there's Korra, and there is Azula. Toph was in the first game, but it doesn't look like she's continuing over into number 2. They're doing Azula instead. Again, the game seems like it looks like an improvement over the first game. There are some Avatar stages here. I think they're similar to the first game. So if you are interested in that sort of Smash Bros style of things but want Avatar characters, this game is coming out in November, but for me, it's not Avatar enough to, I think, justify the purchase. But very cool to see them do Azula, and it being very thematic with the idea that Azula in the Spirit Temple is out at the end of the month, but that is that. And then finally, just a reminder that this weekend is New York Comic Con. It's technically what starts on like Thursday, basically, but the Avatar panel, the only really Avatar focused thing this weekend, is going to be the Saturday, October 14th panel, 3 to 4 p.m. New York time, and that is the Avatar Legacy, the publishing panel, where we have these guests, plus I assume the usual moderators. We are expecting some news. Again, they never hype up necessarily stuff about these, but in the last few panels there have been pieces of news, and the big thing that we are waiting for here is the announcement of the upcoming Korra comic. This Mako focused comic. We don't know if it's one shots or if they are actually doing a trilogy and Mako just happens to be a little bit more in the focus. Either way, we've needed a Korra comic announced for a while, and this seems to be the opportunity to do it. Again, it was at this point 15 months ago where we first found out about the existence of this new Korra comic trilogy. That was at San Diego Comic-Con last year. They mentioned it at New York Comic-Con last year. They didn't mention it at San Diego Comic-Con this year, but the expectation is, if not now, when on earth is that comic coming out? Because we need to see the plan for, I suppose, the second half of 2024. We know it's The Bounty Hunter and the Tea Brewer coming out for May next year. And then if they are doing a third one shot for Avatar comics, that'd probably be scheduled for probably November or December, 6 months on, give or take from that. So they probably want the Korra comic to maybe fill in the gap, maybe midway between that. We have to wait and see what they do, but that would probably be the estimate right now, is maybe a July, August release or something like that. Feels like the right time for the schedule there. Now, admittedly, like, it's still basically going to be a year away, but because it's been such a long time waiting for the announcement, we just want to see it happen. That's the big thing. There's stuff about the novels here, there's stuff about the RPG here, but we don't really know if we are actually going to get news. There's some expectation just because we don't know what's next for the novels, that FCE would be nice for him to say something. The RPG stuff, we're waiting for information on the Spirit World book, but I did a whole separate video last week about my full speculation on the panel, but that's just a kind of quick summary of the general idea of this. I don't think it will be like a huge news blowout, but even if we just get the one solid comic announcement, I think that's kind of enough for now, even though it is very much us having to keep our expectations in check. But it would be really nice to see the publishers go all out and kind of show that, like, Avatar Studios in the background is resulting in more stuff happening. So I'd like to hope that more stuff happens here, but it's so difficult to speculate. Hopefully we get good coverage of this and we know exactly what's happening. You know, because coverage has always been a little bit like you're relying on people live tweeting it and stuff like that. We're going to have to wait and see on Saturday what actually happens. My plan would probably be that I'm going to do a video after the panel. Once there is actually information out there about if there is or isn't news, I will do some sort of a video, and then probably stream the day afterwards, and probably dependent on if there is actually news, if there is going to be a stream. Otherwise, you know, we'll see what happens. But you know, we still have to get through most of this week to get there. We're still a few days away, but it is nearly time for this panel. And again, like, there are 2 times basically in the year we expect news: San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con. We have an Avatar panel. They've shown they're willing to do news. It's kind of now or never. Dark Horse do need to make some announcements. The other publishers realistically do too. Let's just hope they deliver. Because there is expectations. People were annoyed that Korra comic wasn't announced at San Diego. And I think you are going to have that same annoyance if it isn't announced here. Because if it isn't, it probably suggests it is delayed in some way. And it already has been delayed because that comic was initially told to us as being that is a 2023 release, but it's not hitting 2023. So it's looking like it's in or around a year behind where they initially wanted it to be. Let's hope it's not more than that. So yeah, that's the news for today. So let me know what your thoughts are on the new Toph statue from First 4 Figures. Azula is part of All-Star Brawl, which is out soon. And then the Avatar Legacy panel this week, days away from hopefully some news. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. That's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.